Friday night lights. Families lining the stands at football fields across America to cheer on their boys. But what if every one of those hits are leaving these teens with a trail of invisible head injuries, like the ones that were suffered by Owen Thomas?
I mean, he just lived for football. He just couldn't wait. He said, I can't wait to hit somebody.
Owen was the captain of Penn's football team, a third-generation college athlete. His parents say football was in his blood. How old was he when he started playing football?
Well, we postponed that as long as we possibly could. But Owen just pestered us and pestered us. He wanted to play football.
And he was happiest when he was with his team.
He was very outgoing. He had a lot of friends. And he was popular with the cheerleaders.
Which is why it came as such a shock when Owen, just 21, killed himself. You really could never fathom that your son was capable of doing something like this.
I thought there has to be a smoking gun here. There has to be some reason behind this.
They were still driving home from the hospital when they got a call from the Sports Legacy Institute, asking if they could study Owen's brain.
When they asked for his brain, I said, well, he never had any concussions. I didn't think they'd find anything. I was sure they wouldn't find anything. But I thought, well, we'll do what we can to help their research or whatever. I was just astounded that they found CTE.
CTE, or chronic traumatic encephalopathy, is a degenerative brain disease linked to symptoms like dementia, erratic behavior, and suicide. Doctors have detected it in the brains of dozens of now dead NFL players. But the discovery of CTE in Owen's brain makes him one of the youngest players ever to be diagnosed.
I would say it was the straw that broke the camel's back. I think if he didn't have CTE, he would not have committed suicide.
And indeed, what's happening inside the brains of the game's young athletes is now at the center of a heated public debate, not just about professional football, but about players who are in high school and even peewee leagues. A string of big football names, including former NFL player Kurt Warner and the father of Super Bowl champ Tom Brady, have said learning about CTE has made them reconsider whether they would have allowed their own kids to play. The recent suicide of longtime NFL star Junior Seau has caused a lot of current players to think differently about the cost of playing the game.
The San Diego native became the Chargers' hometown hero.
Seau, a famously hard-hitting linebacker for San Diego, was an NFL legend. His death left many wondering if CTE was to blame.
Seau's death rocked everybody. It rocked me a lot,
For Jacob Bell, it was a tipping point. Until a few weeks ago, he had been living a dream, making millions playing professional football.
To be a gladiator with everyone in the arena around you, cheering for you, giving you the glory and the fame, paying you millions of dollars. You really do, donate your life to the game.
But he knew that glory came at a price. Do you have any health concerns?
Absolutely, yeah. I think anyone that would say that they played 8 years in the NFL and didn't have some kind of health concern would be lying to you. I'm concerned about my mental and brain health.
And so earlier this month, he quit the NFL, walking away from a free agent contract with the Cincinnati Bengals.
In an 8-year career, the 5 years I played in college and all the football I played before that, to think how many compounding small concussive hits that you've had that you may not have felt, that you might have felt a little bit, it's too hard to count. I mean, it's in the thousands.
But it's not just NFL players who are taking thousands of hits to the head. One study found that a football player can sustain 8,000 head impacts by the time he finishes his college career. So the question now is whether the cumulative effect of those lesser hits is enough to cause CTE.
How much of that is occurring, we really don't know.
Dr. Julian Bailles is a neurosurgeon and one of the leading researchers on CTE.
Bennett Amalo and myself have autopsied several former football players who had CTE who did not have a history of concussion. They didn't have it. It means that the issue of subconcussive blows where an impact is there and it doesn't reach that diagnosis of concussion may loom as an issue.
Dr. Bailles was once a college football player himself.
I played football 10 years. I think it's America's greatest sport, but I think we're at a little bit of a crossroads now.
He says the way forward isn't a new helmet.
A lot of the helmets are safe, they're good, but there's not a concussion-proof helmet.
But in rethinking the way the game is played.
I think as much as we can at every level, from professional down to youth football, we have to begin to take head contact out of the game.
Never ever come into your opponent with your head down.
He introduced us to his friend, former Chicago Bears trainer Mike Kordecki, who's showing these young players, including Dr. Bailes' own son, how to play in a safer way.
Go. Good. Good. Heads are up.
Next month, Pop Warner, the nationwide youth football league, will make moves like this standard in a major effort to make football safer for developing brains.
If Owen knew the dangers of CTE, would he choose to play football?
What do you think the answer is?
I think he still would.
Jacob Bell also says life in the NFL was worth the risk.
Are you still going to play the game knowing what you know? For me, I would have still played. I would have still done it.
He now wants to take on a role as an advocate for players, alerting them to the dangers of CTE. That's a way of keeping his heart in the game and his head out. For Nightline, I'm Paula Ferris in Los Angeles.